So here Zor and I are. It's the first time in a month because he had an acute thrush infection. So we're out by ourselves hacking around our 10-acre pasture, which is his pasture. And we've reached the front by the road and he's having a bit of a meltdown, as you guys can see. So it's 4:30 in the afternoon. It's close to dinner time and I'm checking his lip to see his lower lip to see if it's tight. He's pawing and it is not tight, but he is very big-eyed and he feels pretty relaxed underneath of me. And the key point, focal point here is his lower lip. It is not pursed. So that tells me that most of his tension, like pawing and looking around and pushing through my contact, is attitude. Like he's stressed, there's no doubt. And if you don't check this level of I don't want to be here kind of attitude, I don't want to do this, if you don't check it, it will escalate. And it can, just like a child, become a full-blown hysterical escalation. So he's pawing and wanting to dance around a little bit, and I'm asking him to be quiet. I just popped him on the butt with my riding crop and I said, stop. I put my intention out there and I said, stop. Learn to be quiet. Patience is a virtue. And I know that I'm working with both a lack of experience, a ton of time off, years, and thresholds. So there he goes. He is resetting himself right there. He's lowered his head. He's licking and chewing. And this is what I teach. And it's all part of him resetting his nervous system. But he can't do it if he's high-headed, preoccupied, antsy. So I keep reminding him to stay still. Let's work on patience, connect to feeling grounded and safe. But some of this is just attitude and a lack of discipline and a lack of experience. So my lead rope just came undone. So I'm one-reined right now. I really need to get a new lead rope. And he decided to walk off. So he knows how to neck rein. He is pretty relaxed, as you guys can see, with the head pretty low, about the level of his wither, but his ears are not on me. So I'm going to turn him in a circle to ask him to reconnect, and he's really pulling. You can see the tension on the lead rope, really pulling on me and not being very connected. And I keep checking that lower lip, which looks pretty normal. It's not pursed. It's not like a parrot or rhino lip, as we call it. And if it was, then I would get down. And I would get down not because I'd be afraid as much as I want to take care of him. You know, anytime your horse is filled with that much tension, you know, obviously riding him is not in the best interest. And it could potentially lead to something pretty bad. So it's not. So that's why I'm on him. But he does keep pulling on me, and it's not an enjoyable ride. I'd like to be on a loose rein. I'd like him to be totally with me and relaxed. So we need some time. We need both time, experience, consistency, and he also needs to just work through this. Learn how to reset his nervous system. You can see, I call that the shark eye, when you see the whites of the eye, like I'm bending him to the left and his left eye is rolling up inside the top of his head because he's trying to look to the right. So there, and he's pooping. So there is some stress there. I'm not saying there isn't. And my decision to get off, which you guys are going to see in the next video, is to help Zor. It's always to help the horse and of course to stay safe. But like I mentioned, I don't feel unsafe. So there's a little bit more of that parrot. He's got a little bit of a pursed lower lip. I really do pay attention with him specifically, that lower lip, because that's the first sign of tension with him, and then I'll feel it through the body. Good, he's working through. So that's all big stress release. And that's what I teach. He's trying to self-regulate and reset his nervous system by releasing endorphins. And I'm petting him and encouraging him, and I'm very consistent with, let's see if we can't just stand here, and I'm keeping his head bent. So as I've always said in my videos and in my training, a horse that has busy feet has a busy mind. And if their mouth is going, it also can be like playfully going, like a horse that's constantly putting things in their mouth is a busy mind. But when he's releasing like this, he's not licking and chewing, but he's chomping, he's releasing. And then he always has a lot of big licks and chews and sometimes yawns. So he's really trying. And that's really great. But again, I'm going to get off of him in just a little bit and do what's best for him, which will be putting him into a nice rhythmic lunge circle to really get him to reset his nervous system and produce endorphin and feel safe. So that's what's really important here, is that he feels safe. He does need discipline. He does need more experience. He does need some discipline, and discipline in the form of consistent, structured work. Like, listen, you need to get back into it. And there's our second poop. So right there is obvious signs of stress. And so right now I'm looking for him to maintain a rhythm and regulation, to self-regulate at the trot, meaning don't slow down, don't speed up. It'll be great if he can lower that nose and really release tension through his top line. And he's trying. So this is a great baseline because it's January, it's a new year. He had that hoof infection for a month. Now we're back into the work, and I really want to finish his foundation. And so that's one of the problems with a horse that doesn't have a foundation, and none of my current horses have a foundation. The only horses of mine that have ever had a foundation were my Trinity. And like I teach in my big program, you know, and any professional professional trainer and instructor will agree with me, you know, a foundation takes a good 2 years. And it depends on the age, it depends on a lot of factors, but it should take a good 2 years. Janine's two horses, Lita and Callan, they were the next two horses. They've been with me for 10 years, so they have a foundation. I mean, Janine goes out on these rides and her horses are drop dead. Amazing. Just like my Trinity used to be. So that's what I'm going to work on with Zor and Lovey this year, and bring Blue along slowly. But yep, we're just waiting for Zor to, you know, he's going through the motions. He has a tendency, like a lot of horses, to freeze, which makes him go slower and get stuck and sticky in his movement. A lot of people will label that lazy, and it's not. He's not. I mean, he is a lazy horse, don't get me wrong, but in these situations, when he starts to get slow, he's shutting down. And so I'm encouraging him at some point during this lunging circle. I put more energy on him and asked him to move out more, you know, loosen up, really try a little bit harder. And he did. So I brought him in energetically, took my energy down, and, you know, I've been creating that space for him to connect to and to feel safe. And he showed me that he was able to regulate to the best of his ability during the lunge. Now I dropped the lead rope, and he is giving me his first and second chakra. He's licking and chewing, and he's going to start stepping into my space and getting closer to me. And so it doesn't get any better than that. You know, he could take off if he really wanted to, but he's choosing to stay with me and bond with me and stay connected to me. There he goes. He's thinking about the barn now, but he's got his ears on me. So just bring him back and love on him some more. And this is going to take time to convince him. Time will convince him, and it'll convince him by showing him, you know, that it's great to be with me and not be so fixated on the herd and food. I'll become that comfort and safety. So now I'm going to get back on. I get on one of the big trees that I had my husband leave in the pasture because eventually Zor and I are going to take all the jumps in this pasture. It's a little hunter pace, hunter course. And now we're back on, and we are one-handed, and he's much more relaxed. He's staying nice and straight just through the light rein aids that I have one-handed. So that's important. He's not, steering me to the left towards the barn. He's not picking up. I think he pushed through my contact at that point, so I just asked him to do a circle, to reconnect with me, to wait and pause. Let's see where his patience is. But I also don't want to push it. So he's still a little up. These are thresholds. But the beautiful thing is, look at how relaxed the headset is. And even though he's still pulling, the rein is not loose. It's not casual. There is contact. This is so much better. And it's been a long time since we've been out here by ourselves. So when we get up to the end of the pasture that faces the hundreds of acres of cow pastures behind us, which are beautiful, we have some neighbors here on the right, and it's a bunch of like little tiny shacks, tiny houses, tiny shacks that a bunch of people live in. It's basically a junkyard, and they've got a couple of barky dogs. And when, it's funny because the 5 male horses, geldings, live out in this pasture all the time. But everyone's cool except when I ride Zor, he's leading, he's in front now. So sometimes he gets a little up when they come charging at the fence. And there's about 10 feet between my fence and their fence. All of those berry bushes are our bushes, and they're there for privacy. So I just asked him to stop and check back in with me because, there's a lot that's going on over there, and it's a great environment to help give your horses the type of experience they need for these types of situations. But I'm just asking him to check back in, more licking and chewing, and we're doing good.